The Soviet Union was once one of the world's two superpowers, competing with the United States in the Cold War and leading a vast empire across Eurasia. Yet in 1991, it suddenly collapsed. What went wrong? In this video, we explore the key mistakes that contributed to the downfall of the Soviet Union, including economic stagnation, excessive military spending, political repression, bureaucratic inefficiency, the war in Afghanistan, and the reforms that unintentionally accelerated the breakup of the USSR. Discover how decades of structural problems combined with leadership decisions to bring an end to one of the most powerful states in modern history. What if I told you that one of the most powerful countries in history wasn't defeated by an invading army, but by its own mistakes? The Soviet Union controlled nearly 1/6 of the Earth's land, possessed thousands of nuclear weapons, and rivaled the United States for global influence. Yet in 1991, it disappeared from the map. So, what mistakes destroyed the Soviet Union? To understand the collapse, we need to look beyond a single event. The Soviet Union fell because of a series of political, economic, and military mistakes that built up over decades. Let's break them down. Mistake number 1, a stagnant economy. The first major problem was the Soviet economy. Unlike market economies, the USSR relied on central planning. Government officials decided what factories produced, how much was made, and where resources went. While this system helped rapid industrialization in earlier decades, it became increasingly inefficient over time. Factories focused on meeting quotas rather than producing quality goods. Innovation slowed, shortages became common, and living standards lagged behind those in many Western countries. By the 1980s, economic growth had largely stalled. Mistake number 2, spending too much on the military. The Soviet Union spent enormous amounts of money on its military in the Cold War arms race. To compete with the United States, the USSR invested heavily in nuclear weapons, tanks, aircraft, and global influence. This military buildup placed immense pressure on the economy. Resources that could have improved housing, technology, and consumer goods were redirected toward defense spending. Over time, the burden became increasingly difficult to sustain. Mistake number 3, political repression. Another major weakness was the lack of political freedom. The Soviet government tightly controlled media, political opposition, and public debate. While repression helped maintain stability in the short term, it also prevented open discussion of problems. Corruption, inefficiency, and policy failures often went unchallenged because criticism was discouraged. As a result, many issues remained unresolved for years. Mistake number 4, the Afghanistan War. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Leaders expected a quick victory, but instead became trapped in a costly and prolonged conflict. The war drained financial resources, damaged international reputation, and caused significant casualties. Many historians compare its impact on the USSR to the impact of the Vietnam War on the United States. The conflict weakened public confidence in Soviet leadership. Mistake number 5, ignoring nationalist movements. The Soviet Union was made up of multiple republics and ethnic groups. For years, the central government suppressed nationalist movements. But as economic and political problems worsened, demands for greater autonomy and independence grew stronger. By the late 1980s, republics such as Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and others increasingly challenged Moscow's authority. The unity of the Soviet state began to unravel. Mistake number 6, reforms that came too late. In 1985, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced major reforms. His policies of perestroika, or economic restructuring, and glasnost, meaning openness, were intended to modernize the system. However, these reforms created unintended consequences. Greater openness exposed long-hidden problems and fueled criticism of the government. Economic reforms disrupted the old system without creating a stable replacement. Instead of strengthening the Soviet Union, the reforms accelerated its crisis. The final collapse by 1991 Economic troubles, political instability, and rising independence movements had pushed the Soviet Union to the brink. A failed coup attempt by hardline officials further weakened the government. Soon after, several republics declared independence. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union officially ceased to exist. A superpower had collapsed. The fall of the Soviet Union wasn't caused by a single mistake. It was the result of economic stagnation, excessive military spending, political rigidity, costly foreign wars, growing nationalism, and reforms that arrived too late to save the system. Its collapse remains one of the most significant events of the 20th century, and a reminder that even the most powerful nations can be weakened by internal problems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more history and geopolitics content.